ideally set ground for what we're going to be discussing in the corresponding lectures. But most interestingly, I would like to get to know who you are, if possible, to see you now that you see me. Perhaps we've interacted with some of you in different other areas. For those of you who are good visitors of the mentoring office, perhaps we've encountered quite a number of times. I happen to be the mentoring coordinator of the school as well. So in that regard, I come from that angle that maybe I don't think we've met with this particular group in terms of class. I don't think none of you looks to be familiar. Maybe you've seen me on campus. But nonetheless, it would be very nice to have a very good interaction, to hear what you have to say and also what you expect. And then also, maybe later on, we can talk about how this unit is going to be delivered. It would be very nice to hear from that other side. But other than the professional field, I'm very much interested in youth. So I have quite a number of talks with students. And then also, I love data science. So my area of expertise is data science, most especially using new machine learning algorithms to help businesses grow and develop. So that's my area of interest, and I would love to hear what you have to say. So in terms of the introduction, it's going to be very simple. Just to break the ice a bit. To be very nice to have the introductions. Well, with about a few of you, of course, it's going to be very difficult to have each and every one of you say something. But I just want I'm interested in your name and one word that best describes you. Okay, that's how we're going to do the introductory session, and then later on, I will guide the discussion on how that will be going. So I will use the participant list to guide us on that, starting with Samuel. Basically, one word that best describes you. I know yourselves, you know each other. I mean, you've been together for the past 4 years or so. But in terms of on my end, I'm seeing you for the very first time. So I would love to hear from that other side of you as well. The introductions are what we are having now for those who are just joining us.
Stop pulling on my tail, bro. It's totally real.
I'll start with Samuel Mulwa.
Good morning.
A very good afternoon to you.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. Okay, my name is Sam. One word that describes me is patient.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get the word that describes you. I don't know if I missed that.
All right, patient.
Patient. Okay, so we have Samuel as patient. Okay, that's very good. Let's go over to the next person, Brett.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
One word that describes me is energetic.
Energetic. Okay. And what to do with the superpowers? Okay, that's from Brett. Let's go. Sorry?
Oh, yes.
Brett, did I interrupt?
No, it's fine.
Please go on. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Let's hear from Ian. Ian Kiragu.
Good afternoon. Well,
Good afternoon to you, Ian.
one word that can describe me is unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Yes. Unpredictable.
Okay. I hope we're not ready for any surprises here.
I'm ready for anything, honestly.
Okay, very well. Now I see Eric. For some reason, it's only male names that are appearing first. So for the ladies, please hang in there, and that we shall come there. So Eric Burugu.
Yes.
We are having introductions, so just one word that best describes you.
Um, I'd say the word that best describes me is patient. Yeah, I'm patient. Yeah.
Patient, very much similar to Samuel.
But yes.
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Let me move on to Jeffrey or Jeffrey.
Versatile.
Versatile. Okay, no one ready for any changes. I see Calvin.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
It's Calvin, and one word that will describe me, I'd say industrial.
Industrious. Okay, very much similar to what is expected in this unit. Okay, industrious. I hope you have a number of the Asharas running by now.
Yes, a few.
Okay, very well. Naomi. Naomi Mwangi. Okay, if she's there, let's move on to Jaden. Fiona. Fiona Ochen.
David has $1 bill, 1 quarter, and 2 pennies. How much money does he have?
Now, this being an introductory lecture, it would be very nice that I get to know who you are. So I know if the people I'm calling are present. The unfortunate bit about this new normal of working on Zoom, it's hard to see people's faces on the other end unless the other videos on. But you can't also tell the one who's having the class under their sheets or one who's active. Okay, Wambua, I think Rebecca.
Determined.
Who spoke? Was it Rebecca?
Yeah.
Okay, determined.
Hello?
Something that you're Naomi. Yes, hello. That must have been Naomi.
Yes, sorry, I had some issues connecting in. Perseverant.
Perseverance. I can see perseverance is one of those words or virtues that has taken the highest vote so far. A number of you achieving that. Okay, let's move on to Aziz Ibrahim. One word that best describes you. Okay, so Aziz is not there. Stephanie.
Curious.
Curious. You know how many cats have been killed because of curiosity? It's very good to seek out for information. Sorry? Okay, so I think that was curiosity. Okay, she's curious. Let me hear from Vanessa. In case Vanessa is not there, we can go to Afandi. Well, I wouldn't suspect, but I mean, you're in fourth year by now, you know each other. Do we have who are still shy? Yes, Vanessa.
Hi, sorry, I was using my browser and I don't know what was up with my microphone, but I think one word that best describes me would be determined and resilient.
Determined and resilient.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. So I'll skip over to guys at the bottom of the list. Let me hear from Walter. I'll just take maybe five more, and then I would have loved to hear from each and every one of you, but because of the limitation, let's just get a few, and maybe as we interact, as we move on with the class, it would be nice that before you comment, you mention your name, one word that best describes you, and then you give your comment. So that's how we shall be responding in class to help me also recall some of your names.
This is Walter.
Yes, Walter.
One word that describes me is perseverant.
Perseverance. Okay. Let's hear from Magnus. I hope I pronounced it well. I can see it's written in Latin. Oh, it's Magnus. Magnus?
Hi,
You forgive. Hi.
um,
Did I pronounce your name
yeah,
well?
it's Magnus.
Magnus. Okay.
So I think one word that best describes me is dependable.
Dependable. So you're one person people can always count on.
Yes.
Okay, very well. Let me hear from Kevin. I don't know how many Kevins are here.
Hello. One word that can describe me is flexible.
Flexible. Okay, flexible. Let's hear from Innocent. After this, I'm going to tell you why I'm very much interested in what best describes you. Let's hear from Innocent.
One word that describes me would be patient.
Patient. Okay, and then lastly, I will go to. I'll go to Shannon.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
So one word that describes me would be shiny. Yeah, good shiny.
Shiny.
Yeah,
Shiny to shine. Okay.
Yes.
It reminds me of America's Got Talent Superstars. I hope you've been shining throughout your academic career. All right. So thank you very much for those who have made their comments in regards to one word that best describes you. And perhaps maybe for the rest of us who did not have a chance to speak, my question to you would be, what do you think will be a determining factor to choose a word that best describes you? I mean, the people who have been telling us that they're patient, they are flexible, they are resilient. Why were those choice of words for them? Can anyone just let us know why they chose that? Which later on would inform me on my next uh, position as to why I was asking one word that best describes it. Anyone who can volunteer? If I may ask, who's the class representative of this class?
I'm the class representative of ICS 4B, Roseanne.
Okay. Hello, this is Roseanne. So,
Yes.
Roseanne 4B. May you just answer the question I asked?
I
If you lead by example.
okay. I think they chose to use those words because maybe in their lives they ended up making decisions or choices to be that um that the words that they use best describes the action that they took. For example, you'd find someone who says that they're patient. There are a couple of scenarios where they chose to be patient, like when normal people wouldn't. Maybe, yeah.
Okay, well spoken. So ideally, probably, something that they do or they think they are. Thank you very much, Roseanne, for that. And who's the class representative of 4B? Sorry, 4A?
The representative for 4A.
Okay, so this is Rebecca. So why did you choose the word that describes you that you mentioned? I think yours was resilient, right?
Determined.
Determined, okay.
Because I usually have like a single focus in mind, and I usually work towards that over a long period of time. That's why I chose that adjective to describe myself.
Okay, well spoken. So you can see that not all of us were the same. Okay, each of us is different, and in the industry or wherever it is in any position that you'll be given, you'll find all people with different characters. Okay, and then there are those who are resilient, there are those who are patient, there are those who are confident, there are those who are even the opposite, impatient, non-resilient. Okay, and it all fits into what we call team dynamics. Okay, so with this in mind, it's good to understand that if anyone ever gives you an opportunity to describe yourself, or they tell you talk about yourself, which is ideally one of the first questions in an interview, talk about yourself. You're the one who's going to market yourself, and no other person will market you. Okay, so with this in mind, it's good to know yourself. And knowing yourself in the sense of even if you've gotten out of bed, what are those things you want to first talk about to market yourself? Okay, and in this particular unit, those are some of the different case studies that we're going to be looking at. Now, we're going to have a number of speakers coming in to talk to us, and you'll notice that there'll be certain characteristics that they'll keep on repeating over and over again. So before we delve into having the different contributions, because the focus of this particular lecture, which I don't intend to move on for a very long time, because I just wanted to see to know you first and foremost, so that you can also know me. I mean, where I come from and what I do, but also it's also very important to know what you would like to learn. I would like to hear a lot from what you have to contribute. What is it that you want to hear in this particular classes, corresponding classes that we're going to have? Because I understand you are fourth year students. You've had a series of classes that are very technical, and now it's time to get out in the industry. How are you going to apply those things that you've learned over the course of 4 years? Okay, what is it that the industry expects of you? Okay, and the focus of this unit is basically what is going to be delivered will be mostly through talks. Okay, so every so often we shall have industrial experts coming in to share with us what exactly is in the industry and what is it that we need to focus on. Okay, and also the different case studies that we shall be looking at from an IT industry perspective. They have to give us a progress or a stepping stone that will make us highly valuable in the industry, highly valuable in the market, and also making us a step apart from the rest. I mean, if you should just sit back and ask yourselves, how different am I if I'm Samuel, if I'm Basil, if I'm Ian, if I'm Shannon? How different am I from my colleagues? And if you've ever asked yourself that question, if all of us were to sit from the same interview, what would be that marketing item that I will present to my employees or my employers? For those of you who are going to start your own companies, you will be employers. For those who are going to be employed, you will be employees. What is your selling point? What is your competitive advantage? Okay. I will give you a small anecdote, or not an anecdote, but a small quote that I came across when I was going through industry trends. That progress has never been a bargain. You've got to pay for it. Okay. Imagine someone behind the counter who tells you, "Here, have a telephone." I mean, these days smartphones are the way to go. Everyone has a phone. Everyone has a phone. We're subscribing to this platform, subscribing to another platform. There are those of us who are more or less a part of each and every other social media communication network. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, mention. There's so many. Sometimes even you fail to pronounce some of their new names. Okay, but do you know what you've given up? Do you know that actually this is privacy you're giving up? Okay, but how are we supposed to be mindful of some of those things? Okay, so the writer continues to say that you may conquer the air, but the birds will lose their wonder. The clouds will smell gasoline. Okay, and this is what is exactly happening in the industry. We have so many changes happening across the globe. So many changes. I mean, sometimes you even fail to keep track. Imagine a student who's stepping out today in a course like maybe software engineering. By the time they reach fourth year, even some of the things that have been taught are gone, they're obsolete. Does that mean that their 4 years of study were useless? No. Well, this is a question you can answer from your end. I mean, what do you think? The course you've been doing for the past 4 years, I mean, this is ICS. Okay, are all the things that you've studied across the entire 4 years current as we speak today? Maybe someone can respond to that question. Imagine the unit you studied in first year. Are they still current today as we speak? I usually don't like speaking on students to respond. I like it to come from your own school of thought, from your own imagination. You can feel free to unmute to respond, or you can raise your hand. Yes, Anthony.
You can argue that a lot of what we were taught isn't current, but you can't say it's not useful because even if it's like in first year, when we were taught about programming or were introduced to like C++, I think right now C++ has had multiple versions of it, newer versions and all that. So even the one that went probably was part of an older version. But like for example, I don't think I would know about that if I hadn't learned C++ in first year. So even though they're in the current version, they're still like what we have been taught. I think was some of the units were still very important.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anthony, for that response. I see another hand from Shannon, and then Miriam will follow after. So Shannon.
Okay, so for first year, I think the units we learned were more of the foundational units. So things like communication are still very current till today. Those are some of the basics that we'd need to even grow and progress, and in our academics and career wise. Yeah.
Okay. So there were more fundamentals. Miriam, let's hear your thoughts.
I'd like to agree with Shannon and follow her line of thought that uh, from first year personally, I really appreciate like a unit like communication skills because it's come to play in a lot of like probably presentations you're doing, probably you're working or like interviews. So that has been really been helpful. And then for the technical units, I feel like there are few companies uh, that still are hiring in positions of languages you learned in first year. So I think it's still a win-win situation. Yeah.
Very well. I'll give you a small anecdote that was shared with me by a colleague who owns a bike company. So he had just set out shop in Nairobi and was looking for a salesperson to hire. Okay, more or less like a manager. He was looking for a manager for the bike company. I'm talking about motorbike, not these Kina Border, Bajaj Boxer, GMH. No, I'm talking about real serious machines. So he sent out call for application, of course people applied, and on the day of the interview, everyone showed up. So being the CEO, of course, he arrived, usually like arriving late, to make us nice comeback. So he parked the bike right in front of them. They were there to the bench, inside the office. And he started calling out one by one. But you will be interested that the questions he was asking were not technical, nothing connected to sales and management. You would imagine they would ask you probably questions like, so how would you increase finances from this position to the other position in a period of maybe 5 months or 2 months? How do you deal with people? None of those. His question was very simple. I want to hire you as a manager. Market bikes that are parked in front of you that you are looking at to me. Convince me that I have to buy this bike. So you can imagine yourself if you are on that line of interviewees. The bike had been parked in front of you for maybe about 30 minutes. And you're entering this office and the first question they're asking you is market that bike to me. There are those who could not even remember what type of bike it was. There are those who could not even remember what color of bike it was. There are those who could not even remember whether it was even a bike because it just looked there. So what was he looking at? Interest. If you're interested in something, there are certain things you will always note out. It's like your parents buying a new car. On the road, you may not have noticed how many cars of a certain are in existence. But because you know dad has it at home, whenever you're on the road, your eyes will always pick out that particular car. Or you are interested in a certain topic. Whenever there's news about that topic, you pick interest. Okay? So what this particular CEO was looking out for was interest in the subject he was hiring these people for. Yes, you want to come in to join my company to manage bikes, to manage my business of bikes. But you have zero interest in bikes. I mean, I parked a bike in front of you for 30 minutes and you could not even pick interest in it. So the person he ended up hiring looked at the bike, read its name, the color, the horsepower the bike had, the speed at which the bike could go. She could note out it. And actually, it was a lady he ended up hiring. It was a lady, and all the men had lost it. So what am I trying to drive at here? Sometimes we may think companies are actually looking out for what is on our team. Yeah. We may think that okay, yes, 4 years, IPS, I know these things. I mean I've studied all this stuff, I've done all these units. Let me just go and throw to them what I've studied to prove myself. I mean these companies know that you're setting out and your CV speaks for itself. So ideally what They are not looking at your technical competence because that's why you have things like industrial attachment. You just come up with industrial attachment. I understand. But what is it that you learned from there? I'm sure they were training you to introduce you to some of these industrial concepts. And in your first month of the job, you may not be given big responsibilities because it's also part of training. The probation you'll be having, they'll be training you to understand the business. Okay, you need to understand business. Yes, they know you can code, you can program, you can do all sorts of technical things, but what is it on the side that has to be added? Okay, I hope you get where I'm driving that. So those are some of the things that we need to put more emphasis on. All right. So I've spoken for quite some time. Now I would like to hear from you. Okay. And what I'm interested in is what is it that you want to get out of the unit? What do you want to learn? For me, that's very important because it will guide me on which people I need to invite. It will guide me on which case studies I need to share with you. It will guide me on what you want to make this class be. So gone are the days when teachers will come and all they do is to speak and speak and speak, and you walk away as if you've been attending a homily or a pastoral preaching. Okay, that's not how things are being done these days. So I'd like to hear from you. I understand you are mature enough and you have responsibilities and you've been across all these different things for so many years. What is it that you would like to hear before you conclude your studies? Okay, I'll start with Rebecca since I think it's Rebecca Wambua. Since you don't have your hand raised for that.
I was requesting if perhaps you could enable the chat so that contributions can be made through there.
And it's so impressive to see. I would so much want to hear from everyone. If you don't, I prefer the talk to the chat.
Okay.
We saw a lot of people playing Steve because
yes, thank you so much.
A lot of people want to have fun, figure out what the character is all about. But Aaron is definitely making the character look pretty.
The beauty with this is that your videos are off in case you want you fear to speak as people are saying. But feel free. It's our class and you are colleagues. It will be very nice to hear from you. So don't feel shy and fearing to speak. We're about 81 participants, so I would imagine by now you should be sharing with me what you would like to, what your interests are.
3-0. It's going to be very tough for Aaron, but I don't know. We'll see. I
we can
believe in Aaron, but
do this very fast so that maybe we'll get to finish earlier.
So go ahead and place your bets right now. Who will win this
grand final? Contribution?
One in the chat if you think it's going to be best. Type 2 in the chat if you think it's going to be Aaron. Aaron with the solo Steve. Best with Juicebox 17 will be starting very shortly. It's going to get very interesting, man. Steve versus Alex. Here we go. The default.
Hello, sir.
Finding their ways in the grand final. Here we go, guys.
I have one question.
In the gentleman's, at least
because I feel like I think I'm not the one who's probably understanding what this unit is about. Maybe.
Getting a lot of damage off that.
Maybe if you can just explain what the unit is about in the first place.
Okay. Well, I will also share with you what I got from my superiors, and I understand you've been having a series of meetings with the faculty administrators, but the main focus is going to be around the industry. Okay? The main focus of the unit is rotating around industry, and how it's going to be delivered will be more in terms of industry talk. So let's call them industrial seminars. Okay. So we have like a panel discussion on a week like next week on Wednesday, have a panel discussion from an industry expert. We shall be probing different questions and then they'll be sharing with us what is expected in the industry. Okay. So given the fact that you've just concluded your industry attachment, so things rotating around that, but of course with an IT perspective and bias towards it. So that is what is expected and that's how the unit is going to be delivered. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
And that has a lot to do with that has a lot. Sorry, let me just finish this. that has a lot to do with what you are interested in, because I want to tailor this unit based on this particular interest of your class. That would be my position.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. Also, okay, since the unit is supposed to be industrial talks, can you also feel free to suggest to email you about speakers who would be or people who would want to come and talk to us in class?
That would be very, very brilliant. That's a very nice point. That would be very brilliant.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. But the earlier you do it, the better, because I mean, these are people you just can't throw on a class and then you expect them to come. It would be very nice if maybe within this week, at least before next week, if I could have these particular names or a suggestion, and then I can share that with the people responsible, so that we can invite them to schedule something for our particular class. So I'll share my email to your module leaders, and then from there we can take it up. So thank you very much, Ayan, for that contribution. I see a hand from Rebecca.
I also wanted to ask, is the unit being examined?
Allow me to share those details next week, because it has a lot to do with how we're going to assess. Because this is not a unit where we're going to be sharing notes,
Yeah.
So in terms of examination, it's going to be highly dependent on what kind of talks we have. So in a particular talk, we can have a series of questions from there, and that's what we shall be examining.
All right.
Yeah. Julie? Hi.
Okay, I'm Julie Mui. And I didn't get
one word that describes you. I don't think you gave us your one that describes you. Did you share that?
No, I think I'm a happy person.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I didn't get your name. I came in a bit late. Could I get your name, please?
Okay. Maybe I can just bounce back the same question to the rest. Those who are in class, what is the name again? Just to see if my communication was clear. Can anyone help Julie respond to that question? Allah? Should I assume I've been talking as an anonymous person? It's so unfortunate that on the username, it's the faculty ID that appears. Anyone who was paying attention at the time when I introduced myself? Julie needs to be helped here. Otherwise, this thing of shouting will not work in this class.
He did. He gets back there. He blocks it. 6 wide. Did he get a piece of it?
Okay, looks like no one remembers. So my name is Raymond Paul Chiega. Now I understand in Luo, my surname means something else. The Luo people here can guide us, but it's pronounced as Chiega, Kiyegaga. But you can call me Raymond.
Okay.
Julie, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Raymond.
Okay.
Okay, and then I have another concern.
So what would you like to get out of this post?
Okay, first of all, I would like to have an experience, or maybe get some details that can help me in future when I'm working. Maybe the work ethic. Of course, I've worked before, but I would like to have more knowledge on the industry, and also I will suggest that if you get any employment opportunities, maybe you could give us the details so that you can apply. And my last concern, when you're giving the scenario about the bike, you mentioned that actually it was a lady who stole the bike. I don't know. I felt a bit offended by that statement because does that mean that a lady cannot sell a bike?
Okay. Thanks for raising that concern, Julie. I actually have a number of lady friends who are part of that. There's a ladies bike group, and often at times they take bikes from they ride bikes Nairobi all the way to Mombasa. So no offense about that, but traditionally, I mean, let me ask you, Julie, how many times have you ordered for a safe border and the lady shows up as your rider?
I I don't think there's any safe border person who is female, or rather, I've never met one.
Yes.
Yeah,
So you can see where I
but
was coming from.
okay, but that
Ideally, it's an industry that is dominated by the males. That's why it was a bit interesting.
okay, that's a bit fair.
Okay.
Okay,
So don't
thank
feel
you.
offended. Don't feel offended.
Okay, thank you.
You're most welcome. Right? So I wish I could have more of such comments. So you can see that Julie's interest is around knowledge about the industry that can help her get more employment opportunities. And actually, recently, a gentleman from a certain innovation center approached me interested in finalists, final students, basically in a particular group, done to submit the application. So you can see that from this perspective, you can get all these different connections and how we should could also partner very well with the I think it's called the Industry Attachment Office, the one that where you can go and then you can give you information or probably suggest you to certain potential employers who come to the university seeking out for students to apply to their companies. So that's a very good concern to raise. And more contributions, more contributions. Ideally, if I don't get as many contributions from you, it's we won't make the class what we want it to be. Okay. This will help me in terms of which people I need to invite, which case studies we need to look at, okay, that kind of thing. So how wish I would love to, sometimes it's good to have expectations as a lecturer, but it would be very good that your expectations as a lecturer meet the expectations of the student. In that way, we collaborate and work together as a team. Okay? So that's my point of interest. Any other contributions?
Thank you, Raymond, for that. I think, okay, now that I'm sure I know you, maybe we can, okay, because I think a lot of people are asking for employment opportunities. It's not an advertisement session, but SUTA is going to have a very huge recruitment and career fair where we are inviting Microsoft, Google, AWS, Netflix, Tesla to come and recruit from a particular university. So also feel free to participate when we put up the posters.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Also, could you
Thank you very
enable the
much,
chat?
for that. I've worked with Diane. Sorry?
Also, could you enable the chat so that we can type in our contributions? I think it's
I was so much, I think Rebecca raised the same concern about the church, which I would like to discourage because I would like to hear, more from the people than the text. So in case of a contribution, it would be very nice to hear from people as they speak. Thanks for that. Yes, Rebecca?
I was wondering for the assessment, now that it's going to be assessed anyways, is it okay if let's say avoiding like a sitting exam by doing, let's say, a presentation towards the end, or like milestones or something like that doesn't have to do with formal assessment, now that this is not really a formal unit per se? It's not like a unit that it's like a unit where you're gaining soft skills and know-how skills as opposed to like technical skills. So I feel like maybe perhaps it wouldn't work really well if it was assessed the way a formal unit is assessed. Maybe it could just be a presentation on what people have learned or something like that.
Okay. I think we need to get something straight. This is a formal unit, okay? We need to use the right terms, otherwise
I'm
we
getting
wouldn't
message
be in this
after
situation.
message.
So it is a formal
Message
unit,
about it. I
and
just said, well, I guess the video
there
has
are
made,
certain
right?
university regulations that
The
have to be
Kardashians,
followed
we weren't.
in terms of a unit, things like assessment,
So
okay? But in terms of how it's going to be examined and how you would like to be examined, I welcome your views, and this is something I'm going to share with my colleagues to see whether it's feasible to assess it in this particular manner. Which right now I will not give you a response to that because it is something that has to be addressed. But it could be possible that we could even have not a sitting exam, but in a different platform. Now we can assess. Okay, so that's something I'll share with you. So right now I'm just picking your contribution on how you'd like it to be done. Yes, Shannon. Thanks, Rebecca, for that comment. Shannon, over to you.
Okay, so for me, I think when you're inviting the industry speakers, you should be a technical person. So when you're inviting the other speakers, maybe you can include some consultants or product designers, developers, just based on the IT line of field, not just maybe the engineers and the like. Yeah, then in addition to that as well, there are also those who'd like to start their own companies and would not maybe go into employment fully. So maybe if you have founders and such people who have their own startups, it would really be of great help as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That's brilliant. All right. That will surely be considered. Thanks for that. Any other? Well, I see we are a good number here. I don't know why people are shying away. And that's why I'm a bit hesitant to activate the chat. Because I would like to, these are some of the skills you need. You need to learn how to put your views forward, all right? So this thing of hiding under anonymity is not something I would so much encourage. We need to be good speakers, and you need to stand out of the crowd, right? And that's why I'm not a fan of chats.
Let's just get right into it. Also, by the way, by the time you see this,
so should I assume that Ian, Rebecca, Julie, Shannon are the only ones who have raised the concerns from this particular class in terms of how you would like the unit to be and what you would like to learn?
But here we have the two
Yes, Miriam.
and we also have some other stuff too that we're going to get into that's sort of also part of the Aquan Current story.
As a suggestion,
Okay.
I don't know if the school could facilitate this, but from this unit, could there be like an opportunity to like I wouldn't say gift, but like based on something, like issue like some exam vouchers for some certifications of the exams, tech exams like Azure exams or AWS exams. Yeah, that.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that comment. Because ideally, also certifications are very important. One of those marketing skills that you can put in your CV and help you make you a step different from the rest. So thanks for that. Maybe here where you would help me is what kind of certifications would you be interested in as a class that have not been given to you throughout the course, and then from there the faculty can follow up on that. Any other contribution? Yes, Julie.
Okay, maybe from what Miriam is saying, I can suggest since you have different departments, or rather different fields you can venture into when you're studying computer science, maybe we can get insights from people from the industry. For example, if you want to do security, they can recommend the certifications that you need to have and what have you. If you want to do programming, maybe the same can be done from the people. So I think this can be done by the people from the industry so that you have a clear direction on what to do.
Awesome. All right. That's very good because sometimes you may not know what exactly you need to get out, but people in the industry know what they're interested in. All right, thanks for that. Any other comments? Well, I know it's Friday afternoon and the attention span is not the very best at this point in time. Some of you probably need to catch up with plot and things like that. But I think I'm within time. Yeah, I'm within time for the lecture. So sorry also that I brought it on a Friday. It was precisely because of availability. So next week we shall go back to our Wednesday class. Yes, Vanessa.
Also, I'd like to suggest if it's possible to get maybe also HR specialists instead of just getting like a tech specialist, because the first thing about the job is actually getting the job. So if we could also like run mock interviews or just get some tips from HR practitioners, that would also be very helpful.
So Julian started playing varsity basketball when he was only in fifth grade. Well, but you need to keep in mind that yes, given the fact that we have industry experts, but it has to be tailored towards IT. So HR specialists may not give you the very best in terms of what exactly they look at, because they are also given advice from IT people, okay, on what exactly they need. But this is something that has to be taken into consideration, definitely. Thanks for the comment.
Yes, and also just
Because
in
I think we
addition,
take
I
for
think
granted that HR wants. Let me just not overhype it.
sorry, I was just adding that I think we normally have like tech HRs in some companies. I think Safaricom has like tech HR specialist, so maybe we can look into that.
LeBron James or the next Michael Jordan, and have Duke and Kentucky begging at his door to sign him. But somehow, even with
Technical recruiters.
playing varsity basketball since fifth grade, he's not even playing Division I
Actually, in line with what Vanessa said, I've seen in
So let's take a look at Julian Newman and let's see how he went from being a fifth grade varsity basketball player to not even being able to play Division I basketball, you guys. So shortly after Julian was on the varsity team in fifth grade.
universities, okay, not Kenyan universities, but like outside, they bring in let's say graduates or freshmen. So I was wondering if that could be something that could be worked towards. Yeah, so that also like guys, people can get employment opportunities.
If I may understand, you said former graduates.
No, like can HR people come and run interviews or recruitments? Because I've seen it done in other universities. I've seen some people talk about it on LinkedIn where they run recruitments within campus. Can we have something like that? Like bringing the HR to, yeah.
Okay, well, on that, that's a bit on the higher side. Reason being, this isn't a limit all the other schools are having. So it's such a thing you may want to organize it across all schools. So that's where I see the challenge in terms of this particular request.
But
I mean, no opinion is, yeah.
But like I've also seen in previous recruitment fairs, they only have like for BCom students or let's say SIMS guys in mathematical sciences having their own specific tailored ones, because organizing one across the board would be too hectic. But if you have one tailored to IT, like for instance, some companies, let's say Microsoft, have opportunities for students and recent graduates, which I think we are going to be really soon. So inviting them just for IT students, I don't think it has to be something that's across the board, because that would be too hectic to organize.
There's nothing worse than having half of YouTube tell you to go and get these, and you can't even
Okay,
find them if you
now I
want.
understand you. Thank you for that.
eBay. Mon nemesis.
Vanessa, is your hand still up or you forgot to lower it?
Premium sound. You see that there, right? They said it, not me. There they are. There's
Okay. I also saw a hand from Olamide. Was it Olamide or?
Look out! It's a set of dirty birds. Ooh, flashy, fancy box, eh? This is really nice cardboard, by the way. Welcome to the next wave.
Sorry, it was by mistake.
AJ. Oh, it's like a road name. But you can learn what they do and like how they charge.
So, any other contribution?
Well, at least they're not wasting paper or anything. That would just be terrible. Oh, hang on. Oh, look, there's a not very catchy.
Okay. In case there is no other contribution, I will share my email so that you can send to me anything else you may be interested. I wish I could have this before close of business today so that I can send it in before the weekend checks in. And then once we meet next week, I will give you the entire structure and what exactly we shall be focusing on. So I think that would be very good to have. So in the meantime, I would like to thank you so much for your participation, for your attendance, for your patience, for your openness as well. It's very good. Sometimes you get into a class and no one wants to talk. Yeah, I know it's not. It's a very tricky time. It's a Friday afternoon, and the attendance is not that. I mean, the participation or even the attentiveness is not the very best. But thank you so much for your contribution. What I would agree with is you can share all your input with your module leaders, and then the module leaders just send me a summarized text of your contributions in case probably an idea did not come in as we're having this class, but later on as you're thinking you come up with something interesting, you can find beneficial to everyone. So you can send it to your module leader, and then that is Roseanne and Rebecca. They can send me a summarized version of all your inputs. Otherwise, other than that, I beg to put this class to an end. It was just an introductory lecture to hear what you have to say, to iron out a few doubts here and there, and then also, to get to know you, which is, for me, the most important thing, to know you and so that you can also get to know me. So I wish you the very best, success in the rest of your endeavors, and have a lovely weekend.